Just when you thought you were free, here comes World War III and $130 oil prices, $8 a gallon in some places. Most places it's $4 or $5 a gallon, but totally unsustainable unless you're European, where they've been paying $8 a gallon or more for years. Welcome to the club. But it's definitely going to get worse. This is just the beginning of the misery, just the beginning of sorrows. We're going to be looking at the propaganda on the Sludge Report, direct from China and San Francisco. Headlining is Biden goes to church, and they picture creepy Biden at the cemetery. Looks like Biden is bringing America to the death chamber, to the end. Biden wants to be the last president of the United States, the socialist states of America. They're working with Poland to send jets. They've been sending their weapons of mass destruction into Ukraine through Poland. Of course, that's important because Poland was the trigger for World War II. Looks like it's going to be the trigger for World War III. Every time the Sludge Report resets, it's an extra 50 million views for them. Their numbers are as fake as the CDC. But the big news here is that NATO is funneling all of their weapons of mass destruction into Ukraine through Poland. Of course, if anyone's caught aiding and abetting terrorists, they usually go straight to jail. And of course, NATO is enabling the terrorists in Ukraine, the Nazis in Ukraine, to kill Russians. The Russians aren't going to forget that. And so that puts Poland in the crosshairs, which will drag NATO into World War III. Article 5, they say. We're also sending mercenaries, mercs, into the war zone in Ukraine, according to multiple reports. And so we've got American weapons and American troops in Ukraine right now under the cover of volunteers, under the cover of an insurgency. Nuclear experts fear what's to come. Many people think that nuclear weapons don't exist. Tell it to the people of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Those nuclear bombs were well documented. We're going to say well detonated, but well documented. And those were minor in comparison to what's out there today. Another 50 million views for the Sludge Report. They say that anti-war protests jolt Moscow. We haven't seen any evidence of massive protests like the protests we've seen against the pandemic and the mandates around the Western world. And propaganda says that Putin loses 1,000 troops in a day. There's no evidence of that either, but there's plenty of evidence that the Ukrainians are on the brink of defeat. They're mourning their famous war heroes on their platforms right now. The Ukrainians have taken a huge hit. Their cities have been devastated. Kiev is surrounded. Looks like it's all but over there. But the question is, how many troops did the Russians lose because of NATO weapons of mass destruction? It won't be forgotten. According to the Idiocracy, they say that Joe Biden's poll numbers are at 47% approval. In what world do people approve of Joe Biden? Exactly. After everything we've seen, there's just no way that Joe Biden could have a 47% approval rating unless we live in an idiocracy. Here's some other interesting news. Amazon workers are being held hostage by robots. It's beginning. The machines are taking over. And you have to wonder if Skynet has not already escaped the lab. Perhaps it's running this world war in the background, like war games. Getting back to economic news, it's not just gas prices that are skyrocketing, but food prices are going to skyrocket as well. Wheat prices are double, triple what they used to be. And that means everything from bread to cereal is going to go up in price. And of course, transporting those goods from the factory to your grocery store is going to cost more as well. Everything is going to increase except people's salaries. And this is all by design. You will own nothing. That's the plan. And the reason that you'll own nothing is because you won't be able to afford to buy anything. When you look at rent, when you look at home prices, when you look at car prices in America, they're crazy. Even used cars. Everything is becoming unaffordable. And so you'll own nothing because you won't be able to afford what these billionaires and trillionaires can afford, given that they've stolen everything from the common people and have taken it for themselves, and now they want to genocide you. And so they've got their bunkers, they've got their shelters. They'll ride out this storm while normal people get nuked by the nuclear weapons or the 5G. And of course, we know that the secret weapons of just about every military includes ELF weapons that can nuke people from underground. They could nuke an entire continent without a missile with ELF weapons coming from underground. That's why we continue to recommend that people make a safe room out of stainless steel flooring, because that will be the final solution. Of course, the propaganda just doesn't end. They'll say anything and everything against Vladimir Putin, but that's the only world leader right now standing up for Christian values. Everyone else is standing up for liberal, satanic values. Two men plowing each other. The Great Replacement. Seems like our values are at risk of becoming extinct thanks to this new world order. We're being replaced, we're being attacked, we're being sprayed like bugs. They're poisoning the food, the air, the water, irradiating everyone, making everything so expensive that you can hardly afford to live. And so creepy Biden is bringing everyone to the graveyard. And that's why another 50 million views for Drudge Report, but that's why it's important that people don't forget about this pandemic. They tried to genocide you. Don't forget when people show you who they are, because these monsters will just wait for you to turn your back, and they'll stab you in the back and take you out one way or another. Marching around in circles is not going to end this tyranny. You look at what these poor people in Ukraine are going through to defend their freedom, so to speak, as Nazis. But we as Americans, or free people worldwide, aren't willing to do the same to protect our freedoms, to protect our future. And so it's as if people want to go extinct. It's as if people want to pay these prices. It's as if they want World War III. Every day that goes by is a day closer to the end of the world as we know it. And so we should not expect things to just go back to normal. They've told us things will never go back to normal as long as these people are in charge. So we should expect oil to hit $200 a barrel. We should expect $10 a gallon for gasoline. We should expect rents to double, food prices to double. And essentially they'll starve you into compliance. You'll be begging to be plugged into the metaverse. That way you can actually go somewhere and do something. You'll be begging to be plugged into the matrix. Another 50 million views for the Sludge Report. And so complacency will be the downfall of humanity as we know it. People have to fight back while they still can, while they can still afford to drive a freedom convoy. But this is just the beginning of the madness with digital IDs, digital currency, and the like. Soon, if you protest, you'll definitely own nothing. They'll just turn off your chip. And they'll be back with a new pandemic next flu season. Don't think that this is going away. This is just temporary relief as they nuke you with World War III, as the machines are taking over at Amazon. And beware of these Microsoft updates. They keep messing up the electronics, and they're probably weaponizing the electronics that people are using to make them sick. So we definitely recommend that people shield all of their consumer electronics with stainless steel or something like that, because even if your computer is on airplane mode, that doesn't mean it's not irradiating you. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. This is Stranger Than Fiction News. You can find us on Telegram at STFN Report. Till the next time, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.